Welcome to Why I Left, a podcast that explores the Great Resignation. I'm your host, Brian Aquart. Join me as I chronicle real stories from real people about the reasons they decided to leave their jobs during the pandemic and what has happened since. Hello, and thanks for tuning in to this episode of Why I Left. In today's episode, I chat with Ali Alper Celtek. Ali has navigated an intriguing career path, starting as an industrial engineer, venturing into sales and HR, and eventually becoming a certified management consultant. His story is a captivating blend of diverse experiences and unexpected turns. Let's go check it out. All right, welcome back. So our guest today is Alper Celtek, a seasoned professional with a career trajectory that defines convention. With a decade of experience in industrial engineering, followed by another 10 years in sales and human resources, Alper embarked on a transformative path in 2017 when he embraced management consulting. So in 2019, he became a certified management consultant, solidifying his expertise in this dynamic field. And I really love hearing about his journey because it serves as a testament to the power of adaptability, resilience, and the pursuit of one's true calling. And I'm happy to have him on the show. So welcome, Alper. How you doing?
Thank you, Brian. Everything is fine. And I also thank you for hosting me today in today's episode. And well done with the introduction. I would not introduce myself better, I have to say. Thanks for that. Great.
No, absolutely. So before we kind of get into a little bit about your story, tell us a little bit about, your upbringing and your professional background.
All right. I am from Turkey and I was born and grown here in this country. From east to west, I have been traveling to many cities, either for the job of my family or for my education purposes. And I'm still living here. And I'm an industrial engineer, as you stated, as a profession, now almost facing my 27th year in the industry, in professional life. But if we go back to the universities, trainings in the summertime, I have to say that I'm already almost for 30 years in industry. But you have been already highlighting my journey throughout, I think, which we will be going in deep later on throughout the episode.
No, definitely. And so tell us a little bit about that journey, right? So from, started industrial engineering, you then go to sales, and you then go to HR. So what kind of is, a lot of the sparks for these initial shifts?
Great. I worked for the same company, Brian, for 20 years. But those 20 years, it seems to be something that I have been stuck in somewhere. But I have been facing at least 3 times the ownership changes with the company. And no successive 2 years of mine were the same. In HR field, we have those tools about the career path, the job enrichment, rotations, promotions, moving from here and there. And I have to say that I have been facing each and every of those, as you said, from industrial engineering to HR. Of course, those shifts and those changes had some reasons, and some of those were voluntarily. And I have been raising up my hand and asking for more job to do. Or in some cases, I have been asking for more responsibilities. But in business life, there also happens to be the times that it just pops up and you have to face something compulsorily. If someone retires or resigns from the work, then somebody else should get that responsibility and get that job. And I was the one in each and every case taking over that job and responsibility. There were some strategic movements. For example, my move from sales to HR, I have to say that I was one of those planning that, because we have been making up a new strategy for the company in sales on an international level. But that new investment and new setup then just brought out the fact that my role was a bit useless at that time. So I had to either leave the company or move to another responsibility within the same company. So HR was a choice. So in some cases, it was a strategic need or a reason that make that change. But I have to also somehow accept the effect of the luck. So being in the right place at the right time. I think some of those were just on the luck, I have to say, but I have been facing so many changes in 20 years.
No, no, I can imagine. And that's a good point around sometimes you do just need to be in the right place at the right time. And to your point around, yes, there may be some movement from either people resigning or retiring or whatever, but as long as you keep like moving forward, it sounds like you were hungry in a lot of these spaces that you intentionally put yourself in those right places at the right time. So I love to hear that from you. And so
Exactly.
now in 2017, after being in HR for a little bit, you made now this truly significant leap into the world of management consulting. So why did you leave your job to make this change?
I think it ends first of all in your thinking, Brian. I mean, if you want to make a decision, so it's already starting and ending in your thinking. And towards the end of my HR career in the company, I was also a part of the general management and an executive team member. So I have to say that my mission was completed, and I didn't see any vision for the future for myself in the company. And if you think like that, I mean, then you start to find some excuses and some reasons here and there, which we call in terms which we call the hygienic factors. So something is disappointing you are not happy with something else, and then you just make up your mind. But the main thing was that it started in my thinking that I was done and there was no room for me, no any mission, no any target for me in the company. So I left the company.
And how did you? Because one of the things I love, when I've been starting to do more of this in season three, is we talk about when you recognize that it's time to leave. How did you prepare for this transition?
Yeah, a good point. In my case, it already started some 2 to 3 years back before I left the company. The first time that I met with coaching and I heard about the fact of and the concept of coaching, I said that, hey, this is my cake and I have to be there. And I had the coaching training even when I was still in the company. And the thinking of just moving to this coaching world, of course, it's consultancy, but also coaching. And it started with that. And I was preparing myself with the trainings there. But I have to say that not only at this point, Brian, but throughout all my career, before each and every change, I think I have been applying the method of acting as if beforehand, which means that
Hmm.
I already started to, as if I was a manager or a director before my promotions. Even already in production planning, while I was taking care of my customers, I already started to act as if I'm also a sales guy. So I moved to the sales. And in this case, even within the company, I started as if I was a consultant and I just reshaped my role within the company myself, of course, with limits and to the extent that I could do. But I already started to act as an internal consultant. So I think it's a mental preparation that if you want to move the next step, which is clear, of course, before just moving, then you should be mentally thinking that acting as if you are already there gives you that confidence and that preparation very well. That's what I believe.
No, that makes sense. And when you think about career transitions, which is obviously what a lot of this show is about, these types of things can be daunting, right? So, what were some of the challenges that you faced when making this shift to management consulting coming from HR? And really, how did you overcome them?
Mm. It was a good story, I have to say, because the first day I left the company, I mean, you feel yourself like a bird that you have already got rid of your loads and you're like a bird flying in the sky, and it was a good time. But I was also expecting that the people and the customers outside, they're just waiting for me to welcome and just asking that, hey, Alper, where have you been? We were just waiting for you for the consultancy, which was not the case actually. And it was a shock, I have to say. And then it was a closure period for me that what am I going to do now? Because I was prepared for that. I was thinking that people were also prepared for me coming to the consultancy world, but it was not the case. At that point, of course, the basics of the coaching helped with myself, and I started to ask myself the questions, the basic questions. So, who am I? And what am I? What am I doing? And what can I do? And what do I know? So those basic questions also brought up the answers that I said that, okay, I mean, who am I? I'm a facilitator, I'm a helper, I'm a supporter. So that brought up the view that, so in consultancy, I will be doing that. But what do I know then? I only know the management, because I have been in planning, but I'm not a planner. I have been in sales, but I'm not a sales guy, not an HR man. So, but I have been always in management. So in this general management line, I think that my consultancy would be just bringing the value and adding the value to the clients. And then I have been just going to my basics of 20 years back, because I'm an industrial engineer. So systems thinking, systems building, so the methods of planning, the operational excellency, productivity, and effectiveness. And those basics just make me or help me with finding my way in consultancy. So I just set up the vision of my company, and I have been thinking about the mission. And I was now on the road to my way. And I have realized that then the rest has come afterwards. So I have been overcoming these challenges by asking the basic questions and finding the answers to those.
No, I like that a lot. And for those who may not know what industrial engineering is, could you just give a quick background on what is industrial engineering?
Industrial engineering, Brian, is not that much old like the mechanical engineering or chemical engineering, etc. But it has been arising from the mechanical engineering because, in manufacturing and industry, because labor-intensive work was done during the mid of 1950s, let's say, or 1930s, it was very important to do the right work and doing the things right. So effectiveness means doing the right things, and efficiency and productivity is doing the things right. So you need to be in the right place, do the right job at the right time, but also do your job in the right manner. And you should be also thinking about your labor, your people, and their ergonomics, for example, and the best method how to overcome a production methodology, for example. And you should be always thinking about the systems, so the interconnectivity, interrelations, etc. And industrial engineering is basically dealing with those tasks. So doing the right things in the right manner, but also keeping an eye on the other related issues in a systems approach, systems view.
No, I love that. And so now when you think about that, background that you have, add in with the sales, add in with the HR, what do you think are some of the key experiences from those roles that have been most valuable in your current role as a management consultant?
Yep. As I said, I mean, the main thing there was, Brian, this facilitating issue. Because as an industrial engineer, I was on the shop floor making the method studies, time studies, and the operational excellence work, and I was helping our workers to ease in their life, and I was facilitating the process. Then I moved to production planning, customer relations, and sales. I used different methods of planning, scheduling, negotiation, and then value creation and solution selling, but it was again easing the lives of my customers. And in HR, I was the one helping people and the individuals and the organizations to develop themselves. It was again in order to be making the life easier for them, so helping them. And now in consultancy, I'm also facilitating the processes with my customers and trying to make their life easier on individual level and organizational level. But of course, their needs are changing in this sense because in some cases, they don't know what to do. So I bring my knowledge from my education, academic career, and from my background, and I'm giving them trainings about learning what to do in their job and to overcome the problems. But in some cases, they know what to do, but they don't know how to do it. So in that sense, I'm bringing up my experience from the old times, and I'm helping them with mentoring, let's say. But the best thing and the most I love is we do something, we do it in the best way, but we don't know why are we doing that. So what's the meaning of that? What's the need of that? And that why question, I'm dealing with that on individual level in coaching sessions and on group level and team level on team coaching sessions, because you should always find the answer to that why are you doing that? What is the reason? What is the basics of that? Then I'm using my coaching skills and coaching techniques in that sense to find the answer to those questions.
No, I like that. And so now you become a certified management consultant in 2019, right? Which is a nice
Right.
step up. Significant achievement there. How has that certification impacted your career?
Maybe a bit about the history, because as I said, it was a shock for me when I just stepped in the consultancy. But after that shock, when I found my way, then I met our institution of the management consultants in Turkey, and I got my trainings from there also in the area of the consultancy. And then I have been also facing the certified management consultant issue. This is a certification done by the ICMCI. It's the International Council of Management Consulting Institutions. And our local institute here in Turkey is also accredited to give that certification. And as you said, I achieved it in 2019. But it's not a lifelong certification, Brian. You get it for 3 years. So I had to refresh it end of last year, which I did. Now I'm again certified for the upcoming 3 years. So in that sense, it's a self-discipline. So as a management consultant, in order to be able to prolong it, refresh it, I always need to improve myself. So it's a self-discipline for me, let's say. And another thing is, of course, when I say I'm a CMC, I'm a certified management consultant, then I do not need that much to tell about myself to my counterparts, to my clients. So it's a kind of a comfort zone for me. And one of the issues with that, which I like, is work ethics. Because in order to be a CMC, of course, there are some technical issues, but you should be just acting in line with the work ethics of the consultancy. So it's also a kind of a warranty for that. And of course, a valuable network is something, a benefit for me. And which I like, another thing is that a differentiating factor for me, because there are not that much CMC consultants here in Turkey. We are even less than 40 people. So I'm one of those 40 people in the country with this license. I think it's a good differentiating factor, I have to say.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I actually did not know those numbers, but that is very impressive. And so, what I love is now this journey of you kind of pivoting between a bunch of different diverse fields. What have been some of like the unexpected like insights that you've gained from being in so many different spaces? And now I would imagine, as this certified management consultant, now the industries that you get to kind of work with and or partner with, what are some of the insights that you've gained?
Brian, I think the most out of those experiences that I gathered is I accepted being in a conflict, and I learned handling conflicts, and I learned just overcoming the conflict, because from here and there different functions, I realized that by nature in business life in general, but in industry, in manufacturing, we're always trying to create synergy out of those conflicts, and it's the nature of it. And I have been facing all the views from different departments, different functions, and now almost 30 years, I have to say that work life is something abnormal. It's not normal. And if we try to understand it, if we try to run it, if we try to manage it with the meanings of the normal life, I think we're failing, because by nature, it's in essence, it's a world of conflicts. And for example, the stress in life, we do not like that much stress, but in work life, stress is your fuel, your energy source. And the problems, we do not like problems. Even we may hate problems, but in work life, problems are your opportunities. Challenges are hard to face and tackle, but in work life, challenges are the teachers for us. And anxiety, I mean, we do not like the anxiety. In VUCA world, we do not like the anxiety. But in work life, anxiety is the warranty that you keep up going and improving yourself. So the unexpected or the maybe later realized benefit that I gathered is that I learned to get the conflict as something normal, how to overcome the conflict, and find the new meanings of the work life and accept it as it is, and not to fight against it.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. You know, so when you think about this whole process, right? So leaving in 2017, starting this new management consultant role, getting certified, and now you're a few years in the game now, right? You're about 6 or so years now in it, 7 or so years in it. What have you learned most about yourself throughout this entire process?
I realized that I'm a multi-focus and multitask person. And in the company, I was still trying to do that. But of course, I had my limits and I couldn't that much move here and there. But now in consultancy, I'm running so many projects at the same time. And I'm really filling up with myself from that. And it's my energy. I'm a multitask person. I'm a multi-focus person. And I like deep diving. So I like to be in the mindset level, and I'm basically dealing with the mind shifts, let's say. And I realized that doing the things do not that much attract me, because I know that here and there somebody else could do it even better than me. But I really love to understand. And I also realized that I'm a real, let's say, systems thinker, born as systems thinker, because I like to find the connectivity among the things, the interrelations, and the patterns, and that attracts me a lot. And I love finding out those relations and the patterns. And these findings helping me also in my consultancy business with my clients.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And part of the show that truthfully, one of my favorite parts, but truthfully also one of the audience's favorite parts, is really about advice for others. And so as you think about the folks who may be listening, who may be contemplating career pivots of their own, what advice would you give to someone who is maybe considering this like major career change, especially if they're unsure about the path ahead?
You know about the philosopher Spinoza?
What is that? No, tell me.
Okay, the philosopher Spinoza. So he has got a very good quote, and he said that do not weep and do not wax indignant, just understand. So, I mean, do not cry, do not be sad, do not get mad, do not get angry, but just understand. So, I'm also telling here and there everybody that I face, and now in your show, I have to also maybe give that advice that I think the first thing is just to understand instead of just fighting against or just complaining about the things. Try to understand the structure, try to understand what's going on, try to understand that business life is not like the normal life, and it has got its own dynamics, it has got its own meanings. So it's good to understand. It's good to understand the structure, because once you understand the structure, Brian, I believe that then you can affect the flow and you can make the mind shift, because mentality and the mindset is the basics of the problems. And making the mind shift is, I think, very important to solve and to overcome the problems. And we take the time as something linear from the day that we were born till the day that we will be dying. But the ancient people, they were thinking the time as something cyclic. So thinking about the circles. And I think life is a good teacher that if you do not learn the lesson at once, but it's somehow teaching you. So it's good to try to understand what's going on and get the lessons at first and pass the exams at the first rights, I have to say.
Yeah, no, definitely. And when you think about kind of the future of your work, what's the impact that you're looking to have in the future of your consulting career?
I believe that the principle will not change. So I will be utilizing my whole bringings from the past, which I think, every day, every year, adding on more. And this approach of mindset, I think I will not be changing that also. And I will continue to deal with the conflicts and trying to make the mind shifts in order to overcome the problems and in order to tackle with the conflicts and handle the conflicts. And I think I will continue to help the individuals, to support the teams, and to facilitate the processes. But the next step most probably will be that I will be moving to international level, because coaching and mentoring and the things that we are talking are not just unique to some country or an area, but we're talking about the global things. So I think the next move and the impact that I will try to be doing is that making the life easier on global level for individuals, teams, and the organizations. Because I say that my motto is that life is easy, but we make it hard. So let's make our lives easier. So I'm ready to join that journey to everybody who is trying to make the life easier for themselves.
Yeah. And that's the beauty, I think, of when you get into the space that you've gotten into, regardless of where you're at geographically, the themes are very similar, right? The themes are here very similar in the US as far as things that happen at work, people that people like, things that people don't like, how they're trying to progress in their careers. Same things happen in Turkey, same things happening in Spain, like, and so that's the beauty of it. So kudos to you on that. And I'm rooting for you as you start executing on that vision. And now would love for you to get a chance to ask me a question, right? So what's one question you have for me that I could potentially answer, either about the show, life, work, future of work, anything like that?
Great. So I had the chance to meet you at the very basics of this journey of this why I left episodes, and even during pandemic times. And now you have been just hosting tens of people, tens of episodes. Hopefully, you'll be reaching up hundreds soon, and third season with this. And so hosting so many people, talking so many hours with them. Brian, in essence, how would you tell us why people are leaving?
Great question. And yeah, you're one of the few people who I did talk to in the beginning of this journey, and I loved our conversation. Um, you know, as I think about what my goal was in coming into this space, which was to really get the stories out there of folks who have made that type of jump. Uh, I think that when you think about why are people leaving their roles, it's because they really started to look inward on what they truly wanted, right? And you mentioned something about that earlier too, about who am I? What am I doing? What do I want to do? And I think, if I were to really break it down, all these episodes, we get down to that level. But what the focus has been, and I think what the trigger has been for a lot of folks, was the pandemic. Because the pandemic gave people time to genuinely then answer those questions. So why are they leaving? Well, people recognize that, look, I might be doing something that I don't want to do, or that I may not be enjoying anymore. And what better time than now to try to give this fill in the blank thing a shot, whether that's a new company, whether that's solopreneurship, entrepreneurship, whatever the case may be. What better time than now? And if people were fearful before, they found ways to overcome that. And that's been the beauty of the show. Yes, the show is about, why people left their jobs. Don't get me wrong, right? But it's truthfully a show about self-actualization, about people recognizing what they can do and people finding ways to overcome fear to then see what's on that other side. And for a lot of them, truthfully, for most of them, all of them really, what's on the other side of that fear has been absolutely beautiful. And for me, that has really touched me as a host. And it's impacted me in ways that I'm just happy to get the stories out here.
Great.
Yeah. So I appreciate. Yeah, no, thank you. That's a good question. That's a really good one. Well, look, Alper, I want to just thank you for coming on the show. You've really been a supporter from day one, and I appreciate our conversations and some of the insight. I would love for us to stay in touch, but also would like for you to share where our listeners can find and support you.
Great. I'm basically on LinkedIn. So I have my personal page on LinkedIn with my name. So Ali Alper Celtek. They can easily just find me and reach me and be a connection to me. And maybe I'm not that much active, but I'm a real follower. And I do really just love to have the connections and continue that warm connection with like yourself. I mean, so it's good to have that connections. And I have also my company page on the LinkedIn, which is AAC Management Consulting company page. So they can also follow the company page of mine. And with my name, I'm also having a blog. So www.alialperceltek.com, which is now completely in Turkish, but it will be also prepared for the future. So they can also follow my blog over there and reach me out with email via LinkedIn, if possible. I mean, even I have my phone number on the LinkedIn, and they just dial up and just give an hello to me, and I'm always there.
Perfect. Sounds good. All right. Well, look, that'll do it for today's episode. Again, I want to thank my guest, Ali Alper Celtek, for joining us today. I'll be sure to share all of his information in our show notes. So I hope you all have a great week, and we'll see you next time. Alper, thank you again.
Thank you, Brian. See you.
Thanks again for listening to Why I Left. Be sure to join us next time for more stories from the Great Resignation. Visit us at www.whyileft.co. That's whyileft.co. And subscribe to the show on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.